Welcome back. Here we are with another video. This time it's timing belt on the Tiburon. I know it's past its mileage point by like 5,000 miles, which may not be a big deal normally, but the car's also been sitting for quite a while. So I'm not quite sure how a timing belt sitting for so long, then you trying to start it would behave. So what we're going to do in this video at minimum, clean the engine bay and then go through the timing belt install process, things like that. I know there are videos out there on doing a timing belt for the 2.7 liter V6 through Hyundai. I'm just going to throw another one in the pile. Just goes with the project. With that said, let's get going. Definitely looks a lot better now. Whether I got everything or not, doesn't matter. You gotta try. At least make it a little cleaner. I mean, it's one thing I learned from, I think it was Sarah in Tuned, is, clean it up. You're gonna get a little less dirty. I mean, make the work environment a little better. So yeah, I guess next up, we're going to start dismantling, things like that, the timing belt cover, and at least see what its shape is right now. I'm just curious. I've already got the kit over there somewhere. I think that box. Anyway, let's get to it. Preemptively, pardon for the shaking, because I'm guessing I probably will, but I wanted to give you a look at the timing belt before I go removing it. And sadly, I'm gotta be able to hold this better. There are like little cracks. Honestly, I could have probably not even worried and just, left the timing belt till later, because that's what any productive person does. Push it off till later. But I guess we'll get a better look when I fully get it removed. I'm not sure what's going on here. Lots of dust or debris or I don't know. We'll see how much of a look I can get on it. But yeah, lots of gunk. Nothing really, like, I wonder if that gunk there is from me cleaning everything. Because I think the cam seals also look fine. No obvious moisture there, so, oh well. I will continue with this tear down. Then, yeah, well, I have to. I don't want the car broken here, but I guess I'll be back with probably, hell, I don't know. I don't know what I'm coming back with. I'm guessing I am going to have to dismantle something around here because the belt is going between something. Guessing this probably. Quit shaking. The motor mount is attached to a piece of metal on the car. Maybe, yeah, so I'm guessing I'm gonna have to remove this / unbolt this, which means, you know, I'll have to get the car held up. We'll figure that out shortly. So, let's go. Small jump ahead, just because I kind of quit recording for some of the things, whatever. So I removed the plastic cover that's right here. It just blocked off this. One bolt came out fine, other one broke. I don't know how many of these cars actually still have all the plastics. You know, this one doesn't have the bottom, but anyway. So I turned the crank until the cam's up here. You probably can't fully tell, but the markings are lined up. Now what I'm going to do is take an older electric impact wrench that I have and just kind of knock this shit right off and pull the pulley off. This looks like harmonic balancer type, where you have metal here, metal there, rubber in the center. Hopefully I don't break anything during this process. We'll find out. But yeah, let's go. Well, I think I'm going to call it for this day. Started trying to pull the crank out, and you can't really see it from up here, but it started pulling out pretty easy, and then it just kind of stopped and has a recoil or a bounce back. Turns out the gear attached to the crank for the timing belt is probably seized onto the crank, or just kind of stuck. And the two techniques that I will try tomorrow, one, I already sprayed deep creep as much as I could where the bolt came out, because I figured it'd seep out around the areas and break shit up, maybe break the gear up. And also sprayed it as much as I could from the outside. And what I'm going to do is let it sit overnight and then try and wiggle it. You know, wiggle it loose without having to pull the timing gear with it. I mean, again, I already have it set up, marked, like, you know, it's already in the right position. I would just much rather leave the bottom gear down there, keep everything in time, because I know there's a mark on the crank, and it would make me feel better if I didn't have to do option number 2. Option number 2 is to cut the timing belt. Pull it out of the way, pull the crank out with the gear, and then just soak it and eventually break it up. Use like a Scotch-Brite pad, separate them, clean them up, and put like some anti-seize or some crap on it. But I'll figure that out tomorrow, because, you know, full day of work and I'm lazy. So we'll be back tomorrow. So I ended up going the path of having to cut it. So timing belt cut off. Cam marks still appear to be aligned, so I'll take that as a win. And this is the problem. Whoops. This doesn't want to come off. The gear. So I'm going to soak that a little bit and hopefully get it separated before I finish everything under. So yeah, I guess I'll probably be back when I'm actually trying to put the belt on. So yeah, be right back. Here's the next stage I'm at. This still doesn't want to come apart easily, but I just soaked kind of like an alignment pin there. So I'm probably going to keep spraying deep creep in there and a little bit around the bottom, and hopefully it'll slide out nice and cleanly. With that said, I've got a whole bunch of parts removed. Well, not a whole bunch, but enough. I've got the crank in there. Had to remove this motor mount because this timing belt surrounds it, which is this. Or here's the mounting point for the motor mount. So yeah, there's that. The belt went between this area here, so there wasn't really going to be a way to not remove that. That part there connects from here over to the actual like motor mount. But with that said, we've got, I'll just go to the bottom here in a second, but we've got one pulley, two pulley, which I believe both have to be replaced. And yeah, that pulley definitely. So whatever, just the kit has all of it, might as well do it. Here's the water pump. I will say I am hesitant to replace it because it wasn't leaking before. And this is the weird part, I've never replaced a water pump. So I'm always afraid that you're going to do the job and then replace parts just because they came in the kit, but then you get a leak. But then again, it could be 10,000 miles later and then the water pump goes out, and then I'll feel like an idiot for not doing it now. We'll find out if all goes well. And the last part I need to replace, if I'm viewing this right, here's the tensioner. Might just be one, looks like it's 2 bolts. So that should be it. And then, you know, put the new belt on. When you have the tensioner on, I don't know if this is the case yet, but I'm guessing all of them are the same. This tensioner will have kind of like a grenade pin that holds the tensioner compressed. Then when you have everything good to go, you pull the pin and should be done. If I'm wrong during these steps or I screw up, well, that's a quick way to grenade an engine. So let's hope I do it right. But I also wanted to point out, it's really a smart idea when you're doing things like this, keep an eye out. I need to make a list. What I've learned so far, and I think I said so earlier, I've got some rubber hoses on the return line for the power steering. Hard as a rock, one leaks. So before I start the car, I'm going to try and replace those hoses just because I'll kind of have things apart. Then also, if you look here, there's a tear in that control arm bushing. I'm gonna guess it's pretty similar on the other side. And while it will work for now, I am going to later replace probably the whole control arm because I don't have a press and I'm not really feeling pressed to buy one. But everything else is seeming okay, so I'm probably not gonna jump into anything else. More or less, it's see what you can find, document it, then occasionally or eventually plan on replacing it. So with that said, we will be back after I've at least replaced the exterior or like water pump pulleys, things like that, and just document if anything was a pain in the ass. And what I'll say is that motor mount or part of the bracket for it was a huge pain in the butt, because not only is it cramped quarters, that part has the dipstick tube bolted to it, and there's not a lot of space for it. So it's just annoying as hell. Anyway, I'll be back. And actually, before we fully get into this, this is the timing kit I bought. Gates TCK WP315. Again, off Rock Auto. I don't think it was insanely bad on price. Wasn't the cheapest, but also wasn't the most expensive. Timing belt. It's all like in a tray and stuff. Let's move that off to the side. There we go. Looks like we got the 2 pulleys. Doink, doink. And water pump. That really seems like it. So yeah, I will now get back to removing more timing components. Hooray! And we're at the point of beginning reassembly. The water pump was kind of a pain in the ass when I learned that, you know, use like a pry bar or something at the bottom and kind of hammer it up to pull it out. It did break it loose, but apparently the water pump kind of slides under here because there's a lip which you can see up here. There's that little lip. I'm not taking it out of the bag yet, but you can see. So that apparently needs to kind of fit underneath. So what I'm going to go to AutoZone now or wherever, pick up some water pump sealant. And I haven't figured out yet if I'm going to use the original metal gasket, which still appears to be in great shape, but I'm not quite sure. And then there is the paper one right there. So I could go either way. I could just use the paper and kind of put a coating of water pump sealant around it. I'll figure that one out later. And I did finally get these separated. I propped it up on these boards, used a punch, because you see that little alignment type dowel, whatever. Just punch that through, and then you have to pry the other side, like punch that down a bit, then pry this side back and forth, and eventually pops out. What I'm also going to do, because I've sprayed it down with brake clean, and before I put it back together, I'm going to put anti-seize just all around here. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'll be back and I'll start assembly with little stop gaps. Hooray! And we are back. Have everything assembled. Seems like it's all good. Well, okay, minus the timing belt. That's not on yet. I am a slow worker, and at the same time, I'm paranoid. So last night, I quit working after I got the fuel pump on, or water pump, blah, words, use them. And I rarely have confidence if I've never done a certain job before, so buttoned it up, let it set for like an hour or two for the sealant to harden or whatever. Then I also put that funnel in, topped off with coolant to let it try and fill up everything to see if I get any leaks. I wiped down a bunch of things. No moisture, no obvious leakage. So I'm guessing all is good. I would really hate to find out that it's not, but we'll worry about that later. What I'm going to do next, install the timing belt, and then which, you know, routing, whatever. Then I'm going to rotate it a couple times. Well, first I'm going to put the belt on, mark it where this is. Yeah, you can kind of see it. mark it on both sides, turn the engine over by hand, and if everything stays lined up, then I feel like I can safely say it's good to go. And then we'll assemble everything else. But let me put that belt on first and see how it all goes. I'm back to report something because it's a pain in my ass. Probably because I'm just paranoid and wanted to do it right. So, watched a few videos before, yada yada, and everything I heard was you want this side of the engine with the most tension, then that way the tensioner over there is the one that picks up all the slack, so you don't have any teeth that could be kind of off. And I remembered in a video, someone removed this part to put the timing belt on. I did that, had this tight as hell, and I did use clamps here just to kind of hold it because they kept kind of moving. Got the belt ran, go to put this piece back in, if you can see it, and oh hell, I'm just gonna say it's a pain in the butt. That's all I can say, because I kept moving the belt one tooth on the bottom, trying to see, okay, which way gives me the most pressure here. And putting that thing on is just a pain. Just a pain. That's all. What I'm going to do now is, mark those and pull the pin on the tensioner. Well, actually, just so I can show work being done on this part, here's the pin. Okay, well, maybe. Oh, hell. Why is this pin? Oh, a pain in the butt. I'm like, oh, this should be simple enough. No, it's not. Whatever, I'll just go grab a tool and do it. I tried. Be back. Okay, well, disregard what I said earlier, or at least I think disregard. I was going off of my history with Toyotas, where the 3S engines, you could turn the crank twice, I believe, and the marks would line up. And I've cranked this thing over by hand quite a bit, and the biggest problem for me was compression stroke. And I was used to that one. Well, I assume I could not overpower the engine turning the crank over to cause it to bend a valve, hit the piston, and still keep turning. Never really heard anything. So I'm guessing that's not correct, that this should always be in the same spot. And I hope that's the case. But if it's not, you can probably laugh now or cringe knowing that I'm probably going to blow up the engine. With that said, I'm going to start putting stuff back together. Let's go, or I'll be back with the next status update. And with that said, before I continue on, my plan is put the plastic on at the bottom. Actually, no, I'm probably going to put the motor mount on first. Put the plastic on the bottom, put the plastic on the top. Then, the idler pulley, tensioner pulley for the normal belts, things like that. So, yeah, let me get going. Quick little update. A lot of progress has been made. It's mostly put back together. Still got to do the belt. But before I did any of that, that power steering leak I talked about down there, I'm trying to see if I can get a view on it, but either way, there's a hose down there running along the front of the car that looked like this. Yeah, nothing special. You can easily see, maybe, there's a bunch of cracks. So it was seeping pretty bad. So I just got generic hose. I'm gonna hook it up, clamp it, then finish the rest of this stuff. So yeah, I'll be back when it's all put back together and we're trying to start it. And here's to hoping when that comes, it's not, you know, clanking and bad noises. We'll be back. Grandkids can be a distraction, can't you? And on that note, I'm about to find out if I screwed this up or not. So, timing belt's in. I turned it by hand a lot of times, and the only hang up was on compression strokes. I finally fixed the little leaky power steering line down there. 3/8 inch fuel injection, blah, blah, blah. I overfilled the power steering reservoir, and I pulled the injector fuse, because while I figure I did everything right, I hope I did, it's been sitting for a while, so I figure crank it over and see if everything turns over while building oil pressure. Also, the rest of the fluid went away. Take this bolt that I'm not sure where it came from, or if I missed something. I don't think I did, but let's find out. This will also tell me if the battery's revived. It's been on the trickle charger desulfator thing for a little while. Let's seat up. Oh, here's to hoping. Okay. Don't know what to think. Please don't break. Oh, I gotta push the clutch. That seems promising. Now, I'm not sure if I have enough gas in here after siphoning most of it out, but let's find out. Moment of truth. Soon, maybe. Oh, I didn't check to see how much fuel was showing up. Doo-doo-doo. But it seemed fine so far. How much gas? You probably know. I just don't. But yeah, I'm guessing I need gas. That all seems good. Oh, it's not gonna even attempt to try without the fuel pump actually plugged in. Okay, now a moment. Wow. I don't think it'll start, but let's find out. We have life! After this thing not being started in forever, we have life. Wow. I might have to lift the car off the ground and bleed this system, but either way, it's running. A little bit of chatter, but the oil is old as hell, so we will stop it for now and hope that is it. With that said, thank you for watching. Have a good day. And yeah, that's step one of many maintenance items I have to do for this thing due to neglect. But have a good day. Bye-bye.